Right now, I'm at the Adelaide airport. And as you can see from my background, I have reached Gold Coast. Now, I'm at the Sydney airport. Alright, hello. A little bit of an explanation. Now, if this is the first video that you're watching on this channel, my name is Anshul. I moved to Adelaide, Australia in 2022, finished my bachelor's, and I'm now working full time for the South Australian government. Basically, I went to Gold Coast for 3 to 4 days recently for a vacation, then went to Sydney for 3 to 4 days for a vacation, and prior to all of this, I have been to Melbourne about 5 to 6 times because it's just an 8 hours drive from Adelaide. So I thought it was a great opportunity for me to strike a difference in between Adelaide, Gold Coast, Melbourne, and Sydney on 4 verticals. What are these 4 verticals? Lifestyle, cost of living, job opportunities, and PR, and beach, weathers, and climate. So these are the 4 verticals that I've chosen. Now, I've also talked to different people in all of these locations. I've talked to international students, current people who have already finished their degrees and have been living in these locations for more than 4 or 5 years. So I hope I'll be able to get you different perspectives because all these 4 locations are top hotspots for different international students and migrants. So make sure you watch this video till the end. All right, let's start with lifestyle. I'll start with Adelaide because I know it best. The lifestyle in Adelaide is definitely more laid back, more calm, more composed. Now, I am from Delhi, from India. So, Adelaide was a big change for me in terms of lifestyle. Essentially, it's for people who want to settle down in life. If I give you an example, a lot of my colleagues who are born and brought up in Adelaide, they moved to Melbourne, they moved to Sydney, they moved to metro cities for high paying opportunities, for better opportunities when they were in their 20s, 30s, but are now back in Adelaide to raise their children, to settle down, to live a retired lifestyle while they're working. But don't mistake it for a village. It is a regional area, but there's definitely a lot going on in Adelaide throughout the year. It is reaching Melbourne's levels when it comes to the number of people that are here. The traffic has increased a bunch. The things that happen on a yearly basis have definitely increased a bunch. With that said, there are some months that it's pretty quiet in Adelaide, but I would say February to probably June, July is pretty busy, and then I would say again October to December is pretty busy. But yeah, definitely a lot of things to do here in Adelaide. But as an international student, I think it has given me the opportunity to do multiple things in one day. Not just, your mandatory things such as your life admin and your, finding an internship, finding full-time job. But it allowed me to do a bunch of other things like make content, make different connections, play professional cricket, coach cricket as well, and do multiple other things. So I think it has been a really good location for me. Going on to Gold Coast, I felt I got a similar vibe from Gold Coast. Even the people that I talked to there, the lifestyle is pretty laid back, pretty, people keeping to themselves because it's a pretty big place. We were living on Surfers Paradise, which was in the CBD near the beach. So a very big influence, a very big focus of around fitness. A lot of people running, a lot of people going for swims, which was really good to see. But the people that I talked to, the working class, again, big 9 to 5 culture there, but 9 to 5 is definitely in the suburbs. So CBD, the main area is definitely for all the vibes, for your partying, for your, go to the beach, chill out on the beach. But it is more traditional. The lifestyle is more traditional. You'll definitely see more mom and pop shops, more Chinese takeaways, more of your Indian stores, not a lot of cocktail bars, not a lot of chic places, more traditional nightclubs and those sort of places. So that's the vibe that I got from Gold Coast and from talking to different people. Now, going on to Sydney. Sydney is definitely for people who like the chaos, who like the thrill, who thrive on doing more and on pushing themselves. Because it is definitely for people who, like to do a lot of things and like to push themselves in each and every way possible, be that finances, be that mentality, be that opportunities, be that network, anything and everything. Definitely more entrepreneurial. Definitely for people who have a lot of existing connections. That is something that I picked up in the lifestyle in Sydney, is that a lot of people choose to move there when they already have set connections. It is definitely pretty expensive. We'll get into that in the cost of living part. But yeah, a lot of these things that I personally picked up, the family friends that we were staying with, I mean, they didn't have time for themselves because both the male and the female are working. Three kids have their own lifestyle, own school, own set of friends, university, etc., etc. So it was very difficult to see them manage, but they were used to it because they were used to waking up at 5 a.m., finishing their day at 7 p.m., then sitting down as a family. So definitely more up and about. Now coming on to Melbourne, I would say probably probably in between Sydney and Adelaide. Definitely not as laid back as Adelaide. Definitely not as hectic as Sydney. It's right there in between. In terms of size as well, I think it is right there in between. But definitely you will be able to strike more comparisons in between Melbourne and Sydney in comparison to Melbourne and Adelaide. You'll definitely see more of the corporate life in the CBD. CBD, I would say, is more, Sydney CBD would be more lively in comparison to Melbourne CBD. Definitely more Indians in Melbourne, more Punjabis in Melbourne, I can say for sure. Even with the type of people that I talk to, definitely more Punjabis and more of the Indian community in Melbourne. You won't get that chic culture, chic lifestyle from Melbourne. You would definitely see more of that in Sydney. Alright, let's go to job opportunities and PR. Now, definitely, I will keep this section as informative as possible. Adelaide, definitely regional area, so more better chances of getting a PR if you're doing your sort of general degrees such as your finance, accounting, marketing, data, etc. Because generally you'll see less competition. Adelaide also has more of the traditional occupations still on its occupation list, such as your marketing, such as your finance, such as your accounting. Whereas you'll see metro cities like Sydney and Melbourne, they've already gotten rid of it on their skilled occupation list. Marketing is still on Melbourne's occupation list, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, I think PR opportunities definitely higher chances in Adelaide and Gold Coast. I talked to a bunch of people in Gold Coast as well, and I shouldn't be saying this, but there's a big culture of buying experience. So what that basically means is that pay a company a certain amount to show that you're working for them, but technically you're not. It's a big loophole that I think has been there for a long time. I personally haven't done it, obviously. I haven't had any friends or any acquaintances do it in Adelaide. There's not a big culture around it here, but definitely that is the case in Gold Coast, which then allows you to apply for your PR. Talking about Sydney and Melbourne, I think Sydney and Melbourne definitely great PR opportunities for people in civil, in construction, in obviously your health, your teaching, definitely there. But someone who's doing a general IT, general business analytics, data science, marketing, business, finance, accounting, etc., it'll be hard for you to get a PR in Melbourne and Sydney. Another thing that I wanted to say is that if I take 100% as a base, probably 60 to 65% of people that get a PR in Melbourne and Sydney get it through employer sponsored, whereas the rest of them get it through general skilled migration. Because as I said, general skilled migration is your skilled occupation list. So the number of people that are there is really high, which means the competition is really high. So the probability of you getting a PR through the general skilled migration really goes down. That is when people take the advantage of the number of people being more, because then that means that there are more businesses there. That means that there's more avenues of making connections, making a good network, or talking to people around you who might know of someone, and genuinely more businesses in Melbourne and Sydney. So that's where you'll see more of your employer sponsored visas, employer sponsored PRs. Whereas in Adelaide and Gold Coast, it's the flip opposite. 65-70% of people getting PR through general skilled migration and the rest of them getting it through employer sponsored. Definitely people that have already existing connections do choose to move to Sydney and Melbourne. Definitely if you have an already existing network, maybe an uncle, maybe a family friend, a relative, a close family friend, they choose to move to Sydney and Melbourne because they know that their chances of getting internships, getting a job is higher and easier when they move into such metro cities. Whereas you'll see more people who are starting everything from scratch moving to Adelaide and Gold Coast because they choose to move to regional areas thinking that it'll be easier, it'll be more comfortable for them to find their feet in a regional area. So that is something that I was able to pick up while talking to different people in all of these locations. Now we'll talk about cost of living last, but let's talk about beach weather and climate. Now I have made some videos in between, so I might obviously post them.
Not gonna lie, loving Gold Coast at this point. The climate is so good. Wait, the climate and the beaches in Gold Coast, I can definitely see why a lot of people from New Zealand move to Gold Coast. So yeah, climate and beaches definitely has to go to Gold Coast. But yeah, we'll be talking about more things in the video, so stay tuned. Just sat at the beach near Surfers Paradise. Yeah, it's just very, existable, if that's a word. Like, cold breeze, cold water, sun on the head, not sweating, no humidity. Just, yeah, really pleasant weather. It's around 17 or 20 degrees. Just, yeah, really good. I think definitely I think Gold Coast beats Adelaide when it comes to weather. Because Adelaide is pretty much like Delhi, if you know Delhi weather. It's really cold into single digits, and then summers it's really around 35-40. But here I think Gold Coast, this is technically quote unquote winters. It's very pleasant. Yes, summers will be very high, but yeah, I think overall Gold Coast definitely beats Adelaide.
But let's talk about Adelaide. Adelaide is definitely like Delhi. I would say it's pretty similar to Delhi. In summers, it definitely peak summers definitely goes up to 35, 40. Not 35, 40, sorry, 30, 35. And some days some days are there when it reaches 40. But the thing is, in Australia, the heat is direct. It's not humid, so you don't sweat a lot, but it's right on your head. But definitely something that everybody can manage. There are some really pleasant days out there as well, so definitely nothing to worry about. But when it comes to winters, as I said, it's like Delhi, so it goes down to single digits as well at night and in the morning. It's not like Melbourne, and we'll talk about it in just a second, but Adelaide is definitely more like Delhi. You can get by with 1 or 2 puffer jackets throughout winters. It does become a little rainy in between, but then summers are really good. Talking about Gold Coast, I will put that clip that I made, but loved the weather in Gold Coast. Loved the weather in Gold Coast.
Like, it's supposed to be winters right now in Gold Coast, and I'm in half sleeves. Like, it's so pleasant out here, but I also know that summer is going to really summer here. I mean, that's not any different in Adelaide, but yeah, sorry, just the waves. But yeah, I think like the number of people out on the beach right now in comparison to Adelaide when it comes to this time of the year is definitely more here in Gold Coast. I can definitely see why a lot of people from New Zealand move to Gold Coast. So yeah, climate and beaches definitely has to go to Gold Coast. But yeah, we'll be talking about more things in the video, so stay tuned.
Right now it's August, it's July, August, September. That's generally when winters are phasing out and going into summers, but still places like Adelaide, Melbourne and Sydney, they have cold weather. I'll go to work tomorrow and I'll wear a puffer jacket because it is cold. Whereas in Gold Coast, similar timeline, but I was out in shorts and half sleeves. Definitely there were some days when it was cold, some nights when it was cold, so we were wearing jackets, but the days and the afternoons, really good. Sydney, on the other hand, 3 4 days I was there, raining all 3 4 days. I would definitely say the infrastructure in Sydney CBD, I didn't like it because there was water clogging issues at a lot of places. So your expensive shoes, your whatever clothes you're wearing, there is potential for them to get spoiled because I didn't like the Sydney infrastructure. It was really clogged is not the right word, so it was really cramped, I would say. That's the right word. But yeah, Sydney weather, I didn't like it that much. Although when we were leaving, the sun was out. So I feel I just, got unlucky. But generally speaking, talking to people, it is a little choppy. Weather is, you will get more rain than sun, but summers are really good. Whereas Melbourne probably has the worst weather. It's known to have 4 climates in one day. I'm probably sure you must have heard that before. But yeah, 4 climates in one day. You probably walk out with a puffer, you take an umbrella with you because it's raining in the afternoon, then the sun comes out, and then it goes into single digits at night. But yeah, that's how I would rank each of the cities in terms of weather. Going on to cost of living. Now, this is an interesting one. Let's talk about public transport, right? In Adelaide, if you're a student, per tap, even if you tap your bank card or your Metro card, you're probably paying $2.5 per tap. If you're not a student, you're probably paying $4.5 per tap, which is okay. It has gone up a little bit, but it's okay. In Gold Coast, on the other hand, $0.5, that's it. 50 cents is what you pay when you tap. And it's capped at $1.5 a day. So you will not be spending more than $1.5 a day, be that train, tram, anything, any public transport. So Gold Coast is definitely cheaper in that manner. If I talk about Melbourne, I believe it is also capped at $9 a day, if I'm not wrong, which you pay through a MyKey card, which is the name of the Metro card. Whereas if I talk about Sydney, now Sydney is where it gets really expensive. I probably paid, because it's so big, and this is just my individual experience. Now, we were living in a suburb which was about this house that we were living in, the nearest train station was about 3.5 kilometers. Now, obviously, we were living at a family friend's place, so we didn't have a car. So, whenever we had to go to the city, we had to take an Uber from the place to the train station because there's no other way for you to get to the train station. That was about $25 every time. Now take the train to the city, which costed us about $8 9 per tap, which was about an hour and a half journey. And then the most interesting thing is that when I was going to the airport from the train, as soon as, because the airport is privatized, as soon as you tap at any of the airport terminals, straight $20 deducted. So that's where I would say Sydney is definitely more expensive when it comes to public transport. I would say general day to day, general groceries, general eating out, I would probably say everything is probably similar. But if I were to rank them in terms of cost of living, in terms of rent as well, in terms of the different conversations I've had, in terms of affording a house as well, I would say Adelaide at the bottom. I would say Adelaide and Gold Coast are pretty much here, but Gold Coast can go a little further down than Adelaide because of the public transport, which is really good. So Gold Coast here, Adelaide here, Melbourne here, and then Sydney here. So that's the cost of living. Well, that was the video. I hope this video added value. You can connect with me anywhere on Instagram, on LinkedIn. I post pretty much every week here on Instagram and on LinkedIn. Put your question in the comments below. If you like the video, if you liked a certain part of the video, comment down below, as it really helps me. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.
I know it's bad, but I can't help myself. When I feel sad, I escape from my sense. Lately music's been my reminiscence. That's when I listen.